You're listening to the Disruptive Franchise Podcast with Stacey Can, the podcast that celebrates innovation in franchising and peeks behind the curtain of failure, success, and the future of the franchise industry. Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Disruptive Franchise Podcast with me, your host, Stacey Can. This week is a solo episode and it is going out on Christmas Day, so the first thing to say is Happy Christmas! Now I appreciate you might be watching this in June, but the intention is that it goes out Christmas Day, which is awesome. If you are listening, you have probably kind of hit a quiet period in the week. Maybe you've gone out for a Christmas run. Maybe you're training for the marathon. Hello, guys, if that's you. I know a lot of people actually listen to this while they're running. So shout out to all my runners. I'm not with you in actual physical being, but I am there in spirit. Keep your ears warm. If you've unwrapped your presents already this week and you are kind of just having some downtime, maybe you're hiding in the car because you've had too much family, I'm here with you. This week, I thought I would talk about my year a little bit, actually, in terms of the Disruptive Franchise Podcasts and Awards, and a little bit of an insight into where we're going to take it into 2026. I thought maybe you would like to hear about what I've taken from the awards this year, because we've heard from loads of fabulous guests already that have been involved with the Disruptive Franchise Awards this year and in previous years. But it was something that this time last year, I had no idea that I would be doing. And so as a bit of an insight into kind of what I've gained from taking it on, I thought I'd share that with you. I guess the first thing that I've taken on really was a huge amount of work, which I underestimated. And in true Stacey Can spirit, I took something that was probably fairly simple and easy to run and just made it bigger. And I tend to do this because I see so much potential. I see where things can go. I see where we can take them. I see the exciting vision and how it can all fit together. And I work with a lot of people in franchise. And one of the key things that I help them with is visibility strategy, so that they can get out. Because a big mistake that a lot of business owners make is that they grow an audience and they only talk to their own audience. And I think that's a real shame, because the best way to grow actually is to get in front of other people's audiences. And so in terms of visibility strategy, getting myself out there, and frankly, if I'm really honest, breaking some of my own visibility mindset blocks, which I've carried for years, I took on the Disruptive Franchise Awards, mainly to make myself be accountable, to be part of something bigger, and to have a purpose to make me consistent. So even on days like today where I've got a bit of a croaky voice and I don't want to show up, I show up anyway, because I have made a commitment to myself and to you guys that I'm going to be here. And so that's been one of the biggest things that I actually took out of the awards was the consistency. There was no podcast before September 2025, but I'd wanted to launch a podcast for quite a long time. I just didn't want to launch one that was a bit pointless. I didn't want to launch one that was just talking about generic or general things in franchise or marketing. I wanted it to have a purpose. And so actually to use the podcast to give an extended voice to those people that are involved or have been involved in the Disruptive Franchise Awards was such an amazing purpose to carry forward, that I just couldn't not do it. It was the perfect opportunity. So the Disruptive Franchise Podcast was born. And with the awards themselves, that opportunity, not from a vanity point of view to stand on stage, because if you know me personally, you know, actually I'm quite an introvert. It takes a lot of recovery time once I've done that to stand on stage all day and present an awards. And it was never actually the intention that I would stand on stage all day and present the awards. But actually what it gave me was a firmer belief in myself, because it didn't suck. It wasn't awful. And actually, I really enjoyed doing it. So it gave me that little bit of inner confidence boost to go and be a little bit more visible and to go and be a little bit more outspoken about what I believe in. Not for the sake of being outspoken, not to be Marmite for the sake of it, but to actually just go and champion some of the things that I really felt needed championing. And that kind of carried forward into other areas of my business, which has been so wonderful. So I guess what I got from the awards was a lot of work because I did everything myself for the first set of awards, absolutely everything, from redesigning the assets to sourcing the speakers to booking the venue to all those little touches that we had on the day. Everything was done by me. So I proved to myself how much work I could produce on top of running a business. But what I really got from it was a sense of purpose. It kind of connected the dots for me a little bit about things that I was trying to achieve. I was trying to help more people into franchising. I was trying to help people who are in franchising do better. I really want to get more young people into franchising. And the disruptive element really just brought to me a central, like North Star, if you will, for the Christmas theme, to really just bring it all together under this banner of disruption, positive change and celebration, and most importantly of all, innovation and creativity. So I got so much more than just an award ceremony out of this. I really have got the mileage, which has been wonderful. I got huge satisfaction as well from helping people to be recognised. Because the Disruptive Franchise Awards isn't about me. It's about all of the entries. It's about all of the winners. It's about all of the stories. So to give people a platform that they felt safe and comfortable in, away from some of the bigger platforms in franchising, because we're not massive, but to give a really lovely community space where people could come and share what they did and talk about failure and success in equal measure, and not be driven by validation from an award, but actually get that validation from looking around and seeing what they've done, was just such a lovely thing for me. I absolutely adored it, because being stood next to stage and watching people come up on stage and have their minute in the spotlight and tell some of those stories and then project them into the podcast as well, it's just been so self-satisfying in that respect that I've been able to build that for other people. So much bigger than me, but beyond that, into kind of having a wider reach impact in franchising. That's what it's given me. I'm so proud of that. I really am, so much, not just because of so much work that went in, but because the result, and everyone I've spoken to that has been involved this year have all echoed the same message. So it must be true that actually it was a really wonderful event that people got an awful lot from. So that's what I got from the awards, and I'm super proud of all of that. I think the other thing to talk about is why I think that innovation is so important, and creativity, because we look at the big boys in franchising and we look at some of the smaller players, and they all started from a seed of needing something. You know, McDonald's started from somebody needing something. Stagecoach started from somebody needing something. Water Babies started from somebody needing something. You know, you get the theme. So to celebrate the innovation in, okay, what I need doesn't exist and therefore I'm going to go create it. I just love that. That's the entrepreneurial maverick spirit in me kind of going, yes. And so to be able to really foster that and harness that and promote that and get behind that in a really big way has been wonderful. I think innovation is key because the world evolves all of the time. You know, in 2025, we've spoken an awful lot about AI. AI is coming for our jobs. AI is going to make X number of people redundant. AI is going to cut your workload in half. AI is going to do everything for you. AI is going to be a thought leader. It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. But it is part of the process, much like in years gone by when we had the Industrial Revolution and the machines were coming and the tractors were going to do all the jobs, and you know, the combine harvesters are changing, and so actually this shift that we're in with AI is really across everything and is always there, that constant organic evolution. And so to be able to celebrate that within the franchising context again is actually, I think, really important, because without innovation we stop growing. And generally we innovate for a need, something that we need to happen, something that is missing, something that is not there. And this year, having the awards that we put in really helped us to celebrate that in franchising. to be able to say, you know, actually, let's go and champion some of these things that aren't really being celebrated enough elsewhere. Children's activity, there's a huge amount of service for families with children that have kind of neurodivergent needs, for example. So the Inclusivity Champion Award, adding that in this year, really did champion and celebrate those that are innovating in an area where our society really needs it to be innovating and growing. So again, to be kind of a part of the recognition of that was wonderful. But I think it's just so important because we are in a world that evolves all of the time. I talk to franchisors all of the time about their operations manual, and I tell them your operations manual will never be finished. It's an organic growing document. And I think our businesses are also organic growing beings. They evolve, they escalate, sometimes they shrink, sometimes they grow. But above all of it sits innovation and creativity. Because with new tech, it comes and gives us an opportunity to go and do something with a new system. That's nothing to be scared of. That's something that we should be comfortable, I think, with innovating with and playing with. I think we lose a lot of play in business, and innovation and creativity gives us a chance to play and find joy in what we're doing. So that's why innovation is really, really key, I think. And the other thing I thought I would talk about on this short Christmas edition is what I would do if I couldn't fail, because this is a question that I've asked every single guest that we've had on this year, and will continue to ask every single guest into next year. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? We've had such a variety of answers in those questions before I answer. We've had people that kind of look inwards on themselves and things that they would do for themselves. We've had people look out into the wider society and problems that they would like to fix. We have had people look at what they would like to do in their local communities, how people would like to be perceived, and how people would like to be more visible. It's really been quite a far-reaching kind of answer, which is what I love. And actually, peek behind the scenes, before guests start recording with me, I always they know that I'm going to ask that question. And I always say to them, this can be anything. It might be, what would you do if you couldn't fail in your business? It might be, what would you do if you couldn't fail in life, in the world, you know, for you personally, for your family? Like, it can be anything. And I love the fact that we never know. And actually, before recording, a lot of the time the guests are like, oh, Stace, I don't know what I'm going to say. And something kind of just pops out. And I love that. That, I think, for me, is one of my most favourite parts of the podcast, because I never know where it's going to go and where we can take it. It's awesome. We've had festivals emerge. We've had children's TV presenters, pop stars. We've had community dance vans that we're going to take around like ice cream vans. We've had solving world hunger. We've had so many. It's such a variety. And actually, go back and re-listen to some of those episodes if you've missed any of the ones that I've said. They're awesome. For me, I very much see that we are held back by fear of failure. I absolutely am. But also, we're held back by fear of success. And so for me, actually, in the last few years, and this sounds really weird, I had to really grapple with fear of success, because our brains know what it is like to fail. And for those not watching on YouTube, I'm doing like the bunny ears fail. Because actually, when we fail, we learn. It's the best way to learn, is to fail. And I say to a lot of my clients, fail fast. If you can fail fast, you'll learn quick. So things that stop us in our tracks, like fear of success, is a bit alien, because we expect fear of failure, but we don't expect to be scared of our success. And the reason that fear of success is like the hidden danger in business or as an entrepreneur, because our brain doesn't know what it's like to get what we want necessarily. We don't know what it's like to succeed. I want £1 million business. Well, I don't know what it's going to be like to be a millionaire. It might not be safe. You know, people might come and like rob me. People might extort me. I might lose it all. You know, those are things that fear of success drag you back from. But fear of failure, I hope in 2026 that I am not afraid of failure. I hope I fail lots, which sounds crazy, doesn't it? But I hope that in 2026 I can fail a lot and learn even more. Because it's when we fail and we can have that introspective view of what happened and why it didn't quite work out, that's where we grow. So I hope that, what I've learned this year is that all of the things that haven't worked haven't killed me, basically. And I'm all right with that. The tiger didn't eat me. I survived. I'm here to fight another day. So I hope that I maintain that for 2026. I think if I could really do anything and not fail, I think I'd probably move country, if I'm honest with you. I'd quite like to move country at the moment. I never really felt like this before. I'm not going to air on all the political stuff, but I think at the moment with this kind of the point where we're at, my business can be taken anywhere in the world. I don't need to be in England for it. And I'd quite like to do a bit more travelling, which is something that I've never really been motivated by, but I'd quite like to move, not away forever. And it's not going to happen, I don't think. But if I could do anything without failing, I would move. And the thing that gives me the fear actually isn't me moving, it's the kids. It's unsettling the kids. I'd like, that fear of failure to be dissipated, that I move the kids to a different school, in a different country and have them thrive. So that's what I would do if I could do anything without failing. I would move countries for a bit. And what I'd like to do is, build a business that serves a wider purpose. So actually what you're going to see from me in 2026 is a little bit of a shift towards done for you. I'm going to be launching an agency. I was going to give you the name then. I'm not going to give you the name yet. I'm going to be launching an agency that helps franchisors, like a boutique agency that helps franchisors and people in franchising to grow their business, but in the way that I know. I want to share my knowledge more. I want to help more people. I've stopped being afraid this year of growing my team. That's what's held me back from doing this. So I'm going to grow a smart team. I'm going to help more people. So this is my public accountability on the Christmas episode. But not just for the sake of growing an agency. In the same way that I didn't just launch the podcast for the sake of growing a podcast. Agency's been on my list for a while. The purpose of the agency is going to be so that I can use the profit to plough back towards helping more young people get into franchising. So it will hopefully become a really nice little loop of I help franchisors, educate those franchisors in kind of recruitment of younger franchisees, because we have to do that in franchising. Otherwise, franchising is going to become a bit crusty and and hit the end franchisee cycle much quicker than we need to. But I want to plough some of the profits from the agency back into reinvesting and helping young people get that first step. I've read horrible statistics just a week or so ago about the number of young people under 25, 30 that are unemployed. And all the government start-up schemes and things like that. And again, I'm not going to get into the political side of it, but wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a stepping stone for some of those people to invest in a franchise and grow a business that they own and just have a helping hand in that first bit into the door, and have a mentor that shows them how to actually run a business properly and how to succeed. And then hopefully they pay it forward eventually. So that's the utopia that I want to build with the agency. So that's what we're doing. So I have to be really seriously not afraid of failure to really go for that and make that succeed and happen. So I'm going to be working on my fear of success while I gorge myself in cheese and wine over Christmas. Anyway, short episode today. I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight as to how I kind of what I've gained from the Disruptive Franchise Awards and podcast and where we're going with it. Because everything about that agency, you better believe it, it's going to be disruptive as hell. Because we have to, because we need to be innovative. I don't want to be a carbon copy of anybody else. That's it for me. I will see you next week on the podcast. Have a good one. Before we finish up today, I'd love to just thank our podcast sponsors, Book When and Make Your Mark Podcast Agency, without whom this episode wouldn't have been possible. You can find more information on both amazing companies in the show notes. If you've enjoyed listening to today's episode, please also make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And I would absolutely love it if you left a review too. See you next time.